draped from a silver pole, watching a gaggle of white tourists pose for photos. Jacqueline suggested that I do the same. In the picture, I am smiling uneasily as the flag, nudged by the wind, curls around my arm. Jacqueline said, "Doesn't it seem like any picture of a black person and the American flag appears to be a protest?" I, studying the tiny photo of me surrounded by stars and stripes, agreed. At the very least, the image is ironic. Although The Street is a novel, print on pages, whenever I think of it, my mind is flooded with ironic images. Perhaps it goes back to my first encounter, during my undergraduate days. My copy of The Street was purchased from the college bookstore. The cover was all muted grayscale tones. A child hugged his mother's legs. A classmate seated to my left held a vintage copy that portrayed Lutie as a buxom bombshell corseted into a red dress. In the years since, I have researched the many editions of The Street, both in the U.S. and internationally, and I have been fascinated by the many depictions. The copy that I owned seemed determined to place the novel in the realm of serious literary fiction. The image of the child and mother speaks to a sober respectability. The red dress copy was more in the noir tradition of Raymond Chandler. A stark font announced the unforgettable story of a woman beset by the sin and the violence of the city. Another edition shows Lutie, still red-dressed, and captioned, "The boldly shocking best-selling novel of a woman caught in the vice and violence of Harlem." Another edition shows Lutie dressed in a 1980s skirt suit, as she rests her hands on the shoulders of her small son. She looks like she is a woman on her way to the office, pondering issues of work-life balance. The small print is a claim from National Book Award-winning author Gloria Naylor, praising Petry's artistry. A mass-market paperback shows Lutie decked out in a turtleneck, trench coat, and leggings. The description, "She was a soul on ice in a brutal ghetto," evokes Eldridge Cleaver's iconic memoir of race and masculinity. These conflicting images speak to the complexity of Lutie Johnson and The Street itself. Crossing the line between belles lettres and pulp, Ann Petry is a pioneer of the literary thriller, a genre popularized by her contemporary Patricia Highsmith. The Street embodies many of the conventions of crime fiction, as the novel is populated by a host of seedy characters. Boots Smith, the band leader, is so slimy that you might have to employ hand sanitizer as you read. Junto, the nightclub owner, is so dastardly that he makes Boots seem like a gentleman. Jones, the building superintendent, sneaks into Lutie's apartment and fondles her underwear. There is no comfort for Lutie in the friendship of women. The most generous person she meets is the madam downstairs, a whore with a heart of gold plate. Her offer to Lutie is an opportunity to be decently compensated for demeaning sex work. These juicy details are reflected in the trashy book covers and perhaps explain the incredible sales record. However, The Street is so much more than just a lurid tale, soaked in sex, violence, and suspense. Petry laces through the story shrewd social commentary about the relentless nature of poverty and its effect on Black women in particular. She addresses stereotypes one by one and crushes them underfoot. One treasured figure in the American myth is that of the mammy, the Black domestic worker who cares for her employer's family with duty and delight. Through Lutie, Petry asks the real cost of this arrangement to the women whose job it is to care for other people's families. As a live-in maid, Lutie is only able to see her own husband and child a few days a month. Looking back, she feels like a fool. She'd cleaned another woman's house and looked after another woman's child while her own marriage went to pot. Another feel-good belief cut down by this story is the myth of the strong Black woman who makes a way out of no way, in a manner that is nearly effortless.